Hi, this is Shelly, and welcome to With Bowl and Spoon, a podcast about your personal food evolution.
I'm Brett. I'm the unwitting sidekick.
Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon. Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon.
Hello, and happy Valentine's Day. I'm Shelly,
And I'm Brett.
and this is With Bowl and Spoon, a podcast about your personal food evolution. And we don't normally do much for Valentine's Day anymore. I guess we kind of did when we first got married, a
The
little
magic
bit.
has died.
It's 26 years, so this is our 26th Valentine's Day, but I think it's, we're not big fans of the whole commercialized thing. I mean, the surprises and the presents, but I thought, I have a podcast and this is what you do, so we'll put something out there. Food has had a big part in our lives, and it was because of food that I first said I love you. we were having a barbecue, and we went to the store to buy some stuff, and I think we were having like steaks and potatoes or something, and we were getting ice cream, and I couldn't decide between, like, let's say cookies and cream and chocolate mint chip. And I was like, oh, Brett, which one should we get? And you looked at me and you said, why not get them both? And I looked at you and said, I love you.
Yeah, I should have figured it was that easy.
Great. Yeah, that was it. That was it.
That's all you needed to do to trap this girl. Turn up, come up from behind with an ice cream sandwich. And there you go.
Depends on the ice cream sandwich. Now, Leona's ice cream sandwiches, for sure, you'd have
Oh, yeah,
me, but
yeah.
they weren't around then, so it was just the regular ice cream.
Probably nothing we would touch now.
And
Ironically.
I think sometimes I think back to those, like, the first days, the first like months that we only dated 9 months before we got married, but like we would have just like toast and jam for breakfast.
Oh yeah.
And that was nice. That was
Yeah,
it.
then jump up and get on our way, because we were usually working pretty avidly then. But yeah, no, I mean, food was, but it was very much a survivalist thing, because in those early times we were, I mean, when you think about the amount of fast food we ate, I mean, religiously, habitually as dinner,
easy,
because we would have a long day, whether it was working with the Wood Street galleries or something, and then it would be just on the way home, stop, grab Wendy's.
Wendy's, yeah, that was the one.
Wendy's
is
Taco
close to
Bell.
my heart.
Oh man, and now it's like the idea of eating that now, though, is just sort of anathemous.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if we've grown up or if snobbery has set in.
I think it was so we got married in December, and we didn't even get to eat at our own wedding.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We had our wedding at the Andy Warhol Museum. It was 1994, so it was before the museum was having regular weddings.
Yeah,
And Brett was working security there, so we ended up asking them if we could do it. We planned it on a Wednesday. They were open until 6 on Wednesdays. And they're like, okay, if you're out of there by 6:30. So we had everyone meet in the lobby at 6 o'clock, and then
go up in the freight
we
elevator.
went up in the freight elevator.
With what was her name playing the flute? Lovely woman, beautiful job.
And we get up to the Skull Gallery. We said our vows, then
under the gaze of a giant Chairman Mao that can now be found in the Art Institute of Chicago.
And then everybody sort of came through a line to say congratulations, and they signed our wedding certificate, which
and took photographs in the photo booth. And
they did that before we came up to the wedding. So then afterwards we went across the street So we were in and out of there. Like our wedding started at 6, ended at like 6:20. So we were out of there by 6:30 for sure. And we went across the street to the Rosa Villa, which was the sort of old, it was an old bar. I want to call it a dive bar.
But it really was, but it was great. It was just kitschy and wonderful. That lovely big looping bar that that was just sat around, and the fairly regular mafioso that would show up.
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird. Did they even have food there? Now that I'm thinking
they had like a restaurant.
Food,
remember the terrible sort of pseudo-Mediterranean murals on the wall downstairs. We were upstairs though.
I knew they catered
in the Pepto-Bismol room.
Yeah, well, I knew they catered, but like when we would go and hang out there and have drinks after work, I don't remember eating anything there.
We quite regularly ate in there, and usually for free, because for some reason we would usually eat there. We would usually go there after I got off of work, so it'd be a late shift.
Like 11:30,
Yeah, and so like if you'd been working still, or you would come back, and then we would literally just go across and have a quick beer or two and then come home. But I remember there was quite regularly this guy that would just turn up, and he had like just a fistful of pizzas, I guess, from end of work at wherever he was. And so we had those really good pizzas that we were invariably eating for free, which was kind of nice. And the girls fell in love with Andy because of the Elvis paintings and how the museum staff included them, which was great. And then that.
You mean Andy Warhol?
Yeah, Andy Warhol. And but then the husband of one of them that was just so bent out of shape about their anybody even liking Warhol couldn't understand it. And that gave us some comedy that it suddenly occurs to me is not polite enough for this, so I'll stop that. But
back to our wedding reception that was on the second floor. So we got married. We had like 3 weeks notice before, like we decided that we were getting married in 3 weeks. So we planned it really quick, and when we decided when the Warhol said we could do it, we're like, all right, we'll go to the Rosa Villa, fine. And we went over there, and they're like, we could give you the room upstairs. How many people? And I was like 40, because at the time I thought like 3 weeks notice, it's the Wednesday between Christmas and New Year's. It's the 28th of December. I thought nobody would be able to show up, so we invited everybody we knew. Brett's parents couldn't make it because, they didn't even know he was dating. And they had planned a ski trip to somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Switzerland, maybe.
Probably.
So they couldn't make it, but his dad was here like a week later. Bam, who's this chick? But yeah, the Rosa Villa was great, and they gave us enough food for 40 people, probably more, because, catering does that. And then, like, the RSVPs came in, and we had like 85 people there. I had no idea that was going to happen, but we managed to get the people in and out of the museum in the time that we promised. And then it was I don't think nobody complained about the lack of food.
Well, no, there was no. Everybody else got to eat.
Champagne.
We were the only people that didn't get to eat.
That's true.
And we didn't get to drink at our own wedding.
I don't even remember what they had. I remember there was some platters of meats and stuff.
Yeah, it was
and
good.
Olives and
it was good.
Some
a lot of chicken,
maybe.
And it was like grilled chicken.
Yeah.
It was good. It was genuinely good.
Yeah.
I remember it was a good fare, and everybody enjoyed it except us. And we didn't even get to toast really at our own wedding because the champagne had gone. I think we managed to scrounge up money to buy more.
Yeah, I had to open a card to pay for a bottle of champagne from the bar.
And we still didn't get a drink of that.
Well, at least we didn't get a buzz on. We might have done a toast.
But we got in trouble when we got home, because when we got home, if you remember, I had left those presents under the tree from my old roommate, because I knew what they were, and they weren't for Christmas, so they got delayed. It was obviously for our wedding, and sure enough, set of glasses and a nice bottle of champagne. And so you and I basically came home, forgot we hadn't eaten, and got tanked on a bottle of champagne and started our marriage with a hangover.
Yes. And when we talked to Grandma Danko too, we called her.
Yeah.
And she
halfway
was
into the bottle.
And
but she was always half in the bag too.
So we were kind of on equal footing at that point. It was fun. But we forgot to mention that we didn't have a ride home.
Oh God, that was
so we were glad that we didn't see everyone off. Like, okay, bye, see you later, and then try and figure, because this was '94, and in Pittsburgh you couldn't get a cab. It just was not a thing that you could do, and there was no buses running. It was probably about 10 o'clock at night. And so, like, the last guests were like, hey, could you give us a ride home? I didn't even have a coat. I was just wearing this, like, somebody had lent me a little mink stole or something.
Oh, right.
I was wearing.
And your wedding dress was a mini skirt.
Yeah, so that was kind of funny. Anyway, so this isn't about food, but it's about love. It's Valentine's Day. I wore a red dress at my wedding. My wedding. Sorry. You were definitely
I was there too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that was the start of married life. And then
start as you mean to go on.
Yeah. So
unfed, drunk, and chilly.
But we made it, and I think I've probably mentioned the time about, like, because we realized we couldn't keep eating fast food, whatever, and I didn't have. You had more of a routine of cooking at home than I did. I didn't really, like, I was like the ramen noodles, the mac and cheese, pierogies was a big thing. But often, when you're single and it's like cereal, toast, like whatever you got laying around for dinner. But then I kind of felt like I had that little bit of pressure of being this, new wife and having to make meals, and I had a little meltdown.
You put yourself into that position too. Because if you remember, you also started with when we moved in together. You were just okay, so cooking or dishes. Because I'm not doing both. So I'm like, okay, and I took dishes and then cooking.
No, that conversation, sorry, you're misremembering.
I thought that was earlier.
That came later, like, because at the time we were both working and we were both super busy, and so we both just pitched in on everything where we could. But it was like, so we did the cookbook. It was after we lived in this house that I was out at work all day, and then I'd have to come home and I would do the dishes and then
do you think it's one of those things though? It's that when you're cooking for yourself, when you're cooking for one, you can figure out what I want and do the sensible adjustment to but I need and what have you. So you can generally supply for yourself. It's not an issue.
I don't know if I was ever that coordinated,
But even if it is just the fuck it, I'm just going to have some cereal. I'm just whatever it is.
Yeah.
But when you are now in a position when you're suddenly saying, there's two of us. Does the economy change? And it's like, might as well cook something decent.
It was probably some of that, and also like we were broke. And couldn't afford to eat out. We would get I don't even remember what we got besides fast food. We might have gotten Chinese every once in a while. But
it was definitely the time of our life though when our life was mostly away from home. It was mostly out of the house.
Yeah,
I was working for a surly bastard that didn't really let me have any time. And frequently didn't pay me for it either.
It was like we both worked two jobs. You had the one job that was essentially two jobs, and I did a couple different things.
7 days a week, yeah.
Yeah. But I think we mentioned on the last cast the last conversation that you and I had on the podcast about the Italian cookbook, and I actually got some data. I went back and looked. If you guys remember, we were talking about the Italian cookbook that we got, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like learn to meal plan, and so I worked my way through this Italian cookbook. I was picky and choosy about some things, so I didn't make everything in that book, but I got a lot of good ideas, like tomato mozzarella salad with basil, and how to make pesto, and how to do like fettuccine alfredo. We made ravioli from scratch. So I added it up, and there are about 37 recipes in that cookbook, and I made 20 of them. and I didn't make 17 of them, and most of that was because it was either like veal or there was something in it that I didn't like anchovies. Now I know anchovies you won't even notice, but I would not select something if it had that in it. Mushrooms, I was real anti-mushrooms, so there were a couple recipes with mushrooms.
Until recently.
Yeah, that's an evolution of mine. I've come around to mushrooms now, and but it's like expensive mushrooms from the real fungi.
Stay tuned for when Shelly goes pescatarian.
No, that's not gonna ever happen. And also there were a couple recipes in there for salad. Like besides the tomato basil mozzarella salad, they had one with, I don't know, anti-pasta salad and some other things. Yeah. And I was just like, we could just buy that at Penn Mac. And I guess not everybody's as
And you've just reminded me actually from around that time when we were doing that. I remember like that salad, for example. I remember we were very fond of that. And I feel that we were invited to a friend's house, another artist, if memory serves. I think it was Karen. And they're talking about evolution and so on. We get there bringing our part, and then watched as she made what she was doing for everybody, which again was vegetarian, but it was
what was that?
It was roasted vegetables, but it was like beets and onions, just big chunks of vegetables, and then tossed in balsamic and olive oil and herbs, and then just thrown in and roasted, and like. That and our salad was perfect. I think somebody else brought in another thing. It was bean things. I feel like it must have been a very sort of Italian-influenced evening, just with friends. And then, from then on, we were doing that. Yeah. Roast vegetables in balsamic,
Yeah, we definitely learned from friends and sharing food. And you bring up a really good point. We would have theme parties.
Oh, God, I forgot about it. Yeah.
We had the most memorable, I think, is probably the Jell-O theme party.
Oh.
That was such a classic. Brett was not well that day, but that was like...
It was my own fault,
though. Oh my God, it was...
This was my own fault, because in no small way I think I am guilty for why you wanted to do that.
It was that cookbook.
Because of my love of that kind of kitsch, and I would bring home those old, period, Jell-O cookbooks. Seriously, Jell-O cookbooks.
What was it called?
The Jell-O cookbook? I don't know.
The Joy of Jell-O.
The Joy of Jell-O. We probably still got it on the shelf.
We probably do, yeah.
And it's those glorious acid-coloured prints that were just ridiculous and looked terrible. But the number of people that all popped up and went, oh, hell yeah, I've got a Jell-O recipe.
Oh, my God, everybody was totally on board.
And they all obviously had the same kind of kitschy books and had done things.
Yeah.
So, and it went across the malls. It was like people would turn up with, oh, well, we've got the alcohol part covered, because like 3 different people turned up with Jell-O shots, all different. And then there was the Jell-O pretzel casserole thing that was, which was... just looked so disgusting, but was actually nice. Was that the one that I made? No, someone else
I feel
brought
that
it.
Was. I tried making it at one point, and I put the hot water in on the pretzels too much. Somehow, the pretzels became
soggy.
like these gummy worms in the bottom of the pan. It was terrible.
But I had some kind of gastric assault. I don't know what it was. But
that wasn't your fault.
No, I wasn't. But the party was on.
Was your fault.
The party would, the initial on that, but you organise everything, but then it was like, we have the bedroom, and then that opens onto the living room, and then across the living room there's the bathroom. And so we've got all these people in our 3rd floor apartment, and I am regularly popping up and just running to the bathroom for one end or the other.
Brett was locked in the bedroom the whole time.
I was so sick.
Your head was throbbing, and it was really
and everybody's got all these terrible, just disgusting. In that state, there was not. Oh, it would be. I'd like come out and see it and just be, oh God. It was terrible day.
It was a great party, though.
It was a great idea.
Yeah, it was really a lot of fun. We had some really neat parties in that 3rd floor apartment. We've had some good parties here too, but.
I used to enjoy the fact that because there was no buzzer or anything, and so in order to let people in, you either had to go all the way down and to the back door and let them in, or I came up with I just bought one of those little paratrooper guys, little plastic paratrooper, and we'd just tie the key to that and just lob it out the window, and they would have to go and they could let themselves in. And then also the one party where we ran out of fridge space for everybody's beverages, so we started putting sodas and beers out on the window, on the ledge outside. Of the window.
Outside the kitchen windows. There was the box gutter was there, and there was enough room to put a bottle or a couple cans.
Yeah,
or
and there was snow, and it was really chilly and so on, and we sent everybody home and cleaned up from the party.
We had stored out their grape and orange soda.
And I feel there was sodas mostly, but there was also a couple of beers. I remember it was a variety because I remember then we forgot about them, and the next day, the landlord is calling up to us from below and asking, "Do we know why the roof seems to be leaking brown and orange icicles?" And of course, all of those sodas had just exploded.
Yeah,
it was truly disgusting.
It took a lot to clean up.
And
it was cold. It was really crazy. They were kind of mad, but we were good tenants.
We were very good tenants. They were terrible landlords.
Okay, we won't talk about that though, because this is a podcast about love. Well, and food.
Well, I think they were in love.
And the love of food. I think so. Relationships is one of the big things that can change your eating habits and the way you think about food. And I think phasing out the fast food, that took a long time. I want to say that was maybe 2004, 2005 when we finally cut out our last fast food.
I think
so. It was took 20 years.
Oh yeah.
To phase that out of our lives. But I think the one time I remember was I was on my way home and I was exhausted. I was working on a political campaign and I was like, I'm going to stop at Wendy's. And I was like, I got to get in line. I got to go through the drive-thru. I have to order. Then I have to drive around. I have to pay for it. And then I have to wait for it some more. And then I have to get it. And then I have to take it home. Then it's going to be cold. And I'll probably have to heat it up. And I was like, I could just go home, throw some toast in the toaster, and put some peanut butter on it and still eat it hot. And it's going to be less time between now and me eating than it would be if I stopped at Wendy's.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was all I needed. To be okay, just you can have toast. That's fine.
Yeah, I feel like we were very good quite early on when we did really register that we had to address it. Because it wasn't like we were... It was just pure convenience. It was just literally that our lifestyle meant that we didn't have the energy for... now being creative and getting busy in the kitchen and basically generating more work for ourselves even beyond that. But then I feel like we took it step by step, and it was the other places where it crossed into your life. So road trip to your folks and maybe leaving them at a particular time and it's, oh God, we're going to need something to eat. So we knew there was still an extant Burger King out there, and we were still suckers for a Whopper.
Oh, I did the flame broiled burgers.
Yeah. But so and honestly,
it's
those
got to be an artificial flavor. I'm convinced because it was just such a distinct flavor and consistent through all the Burger Kings. It had to be a flavor enhancer that they put in there. But
maybe,
that's just
for sure. But I mean, so we've changed that, but I feel like there's been more as transitioning too, because I feel like the industry sort of obviously kept pace with finicky buggers like us, and so now you have things like Five Guys, and we will still happily say screw cooking, let's have a Five Guys on a Sunday.
That's not fast food because there's always a long wait and it's more expensive. I'm going to fight that. Five Guys is not.
But it's still a convenience food. It's still a convenience food. It's still the basically else.
It's legit, yeah.
But it's I feel like it's. I've been trying to think about it. What did we make a definitive decision, or did we somehow just sort of blend and merge as time went on?
Well, I remember that one time when I was on my way home and I was like, no, I don't need that. I'm good. But I think prior to that, we just kept experimenting. I remember it was maybe we had just been married a year. Was it even... When did we first go to that Indian place over in Sharpsburg, who shall not be named?
Oh, gosh.
Was that before we went back to England for the first time? Because I remember I hadn't had curry. I hadn't had Indian food, proper Indian food.
And
So I hated spicy food. I might have mentioned this because I mention it all the time, but Brett made spaghetti that was too peppery for me to eat when we were dating, and so I didn't have much of a palate for spicy food, but Brett has brought spice to my life in more ways than one.
Oh, you're too sweet.
And Indian food was like the gateway to that. And I didn't like coconut because I didn't like the sweet, sickly sweet coconut on cakes.
Oh, right,
and
right,
so
right.
when
And
I first
now-
had like proper coconut chutney, whoa, my life changed.
Yes, I seem to remember you arguing that it couldn't be coconut because you liked it.
It was so good.
So there had to be something. Give me the label. I need to check this.
And Udupi in Monroeville, the Indian place in Monroeville, they give it to you like a serving of soup. A serving of chutney is like with your dosa. It's amazing.
It's not like you leave much. So
I do not. They wouldn't give it to me if they didn't want me to eat it all, Brett.
No.
Fight me.
No. Oh, Udupi.
Yeah. So, the food places. But yeah, so I didn't like spicy food. It was uncomfortable, and I associated spicy food with hot sauce and frat boys and competing to eat the hottest stuff they possibly could, and they make themselves. So I was just like not necessary in my mind. So,
well, I mean,
when Brett, you were introducing me to the different flavors within spicy.
right.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and that's why I think we did have a little bit more when we were eating out. We were doing things like Spice Island Tea House, and maybe even grabbing some tacos at Rainer's or whatever. So we started. I feel like it was probably a surreptitious action on my part, and curries was a good one because curries is just it's regional, so it's different.
No, you definitely had a plan to bring me over to the spicy side. You definitely did.
There was just
you were just like, you need to eat curry.
There's no way I was going to. He was like, okay, I'm not allowed to eat fish in the house. I'm not really allowed to bring in mushrooms because you don't want to look at them either. And so the idea of not being able to eat curry. Not being able to eat curry would have been that would have been the deal breaker. I'm sorry.
Or spicy stuff, to not have that variety.
Oh yeah.
No, you're not going to stay married to a woman who doesn't like spicy stuff. Was essentially what I thought. So I learned and experimented, and I mean, my background is Eastern European, and so I was fine in Slovakia. Czechoslovakia. There was no spice of any sort there. Paprika isn't spicy. It's not spicy. It doesn't matter now because but back in the day I ate paprika on stuff. It's not a spicy spice. Right. It's not hot spice. Anyway, but yeah, so that was exciting, and it's really opened the world and opened for me. It's that single goal of yours. I'm really grateful for that because it's some of my favorite food now. And I actually remember that potato dish that I was accidentally using. Instead of chili powder, I was using, instead of like the chili blend, I was using the cayenne. That's what it was. Instead of chili powder, I was using cayenne powder. And I was using like the 2 teaspoons of it that it called for. Yeah, you remember, because it was way spicy, and I'm like, oh, this is delicious, and you're like, what the hell did you do? And I was like, what, is it too hot for you? And Brett's sweating, and I thought it was fine. So I was just like, this is a spicy dish I made. This is what I eat.
Well, this is, I feel that goes to, there are those things, like I said, that you really favour, that I'm still a little on the fence with, like the... Jesus, I'm trying to remember the particular thing. I don't think it's the 5-spice blend. It's the Chinese. It's a peppercorn.
The Szechuan peppercorn.
But it's the one where it's numbing. Is part of a flavor, which
yes.
I still don't quite get that. And honestly, I'm still, depending on the meal, I'm often left with a mouth that's like, what is going on? What have you done to me?
It's used in small portions, or it's meant to be used, but you can totally tell, and it does. So I think what it does is maybe it's not a flavor in itself, but it affects the other flavors that you're eating. So it doesn't numb your entire mouth. If it's done in the right proportion, it numbs parts of your taste buds. So you're getting twice as many flavors because the numb part is tasting one thing and the unnumb part of your tongue is tasting another, so that for every one flavor you get two. That's my theory anyway. If there's a food scientist who wants to talk to me about this, I'd be happy to
I do wonder if it's
a
preparation thing, because I feel like when we've used it, I've ended up with just something weird, whereas when we bought things from some of our favourite restaurants...
I misused it. I did. I used it in a recipe once, and then I used it on the
weird,
fly another time. Like, I was like, oh, that'll be neat in here. And it was just too much.
It was kind of antithetical.
I was like, I'm dying.
No, that was weird. But I mean, but it's also the unpredictability of spice for one person versus another. Like the other story I always tell of going out. We were at a conference in DC and with some art school friends, and we've gone out to I believe a Szechuan restaurant one night, and then the next night we end up going to an Ethiopian restaurant, and I'd just been to that with some of the professors. So I'm sitting there with my friend, from the Szechuan restaurant, and they're like, what is this food? What is it like? Is it spicy? And I'm like, yeah, well, but not desperately. And this, I forget what his name was, but this kid is sitting there, he's like, well, okay, well, compared to what we ate last night. And I'm like, oh, no, you're fine. That's not at all. And then 5 minutes into eating, and that the one I took you to is the same place, where it's, your party's order, but you don't just get your order put in front of you. You get the palate, and you're expected to share with your party. So all the meals are on one platter. And I remember 5 minutes into the meal, and I get a knock on my side, somebody punches me in the arm. I turn around, and this guy who has just been eating the fieriest of Szechuan foods the night before is sitting there, red-faced, beetroot-faced, sweating, and looking at me, and just basically announces, "Brett, you're full of shit." I'm like, well, I am. You're going to have to be more specific, but so it's like, but not for me. And then I feel like the same with you. You've had things that will set me in, and I love it usually. I love a good cathartic sweat from a spicy meal.
Rachel and Mike, I think it might have actually been Valentine's Day where they cooked for us. We took them out to the Indian restaurant,
right,
and they really enjoyed it, but they were like, whoa, this is spicy, and okay, you guys like spice, so why don't you come over? Mike is from Texas, and
that's right.
he offered to make us this amazing meal of his Texan specialties.
Tex-Mex cuisine thing. It was good.
It was really spicy, and I realized that it's more of the jalapeno spicy. It's a whole different category as spice, and that I couldn't handle. It was really, really hot, whereas the Indian food I had gotten used to and built up a tolerance, I guess. Is that what you do? But I could eat the Indian food, like the spiciest Indian food, and be fine. And that was after just a couple years. But then, Mike makes us this lovely meal, and I'm just like, wow, I'm on fire. And they were just totally surprised. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, feel the same way. But then, then I've ordered, when we've been back home and we've been able to go to Indian restaurants that, nobody asks you if you want 1 to 10. You're not asked. It's not a thing. It is, this is a korma, ergo it has this spice ratio. This is a tandoori, so it has this spice ratio. So it's just done on the regional truth. And so then I remember being up at Comrade's place, and we found that restaurant. It was a wonderful restaurant. It sort of looked like a chippy from in the front, but then the glass window right behind the counter, and those giant clay ovens that they were doing the breads on, which was just fabulous. And the menu looked like it was a fish and chip shop, but then you had all of these, I do not know this curry, what the hell is it? And I feel like I tried something, and you were all sitting there, because it's like, only you and I would have been eating it because it had meat, and everybody else was vegetarian.
I think you got lamb or something.
And I was loving it, but I was sweating profusely. But the weird thing was that one, I didn't even feel that spice, other than the physical fact that I was apparently changing colour and dripping into my plate. But yeah. So
I feel like when you're eating a spicy food like that, like I find, because you kind of like continually eat it, like you might eat faster than you normally would, because when you stop it's when it hits you. So I find that I like kind of like stuff food in my face, and then I get full real fast, and it kind of like maybe I eat less. I don't know.
Well, I mean, maybe
but it's this really weird. I kind of lose track of like how much I've eaten, and if I'm full and I'm just like, I got to keep eating this, and then all of a sudden it's like, I got to stop eating this.
I wonder if that's why there's also, in some of these cultures, we haven't explored that, but I mean, think about every Indian restaurant we go to here that generally have a buffet, because they know that works, and it does, but there will also be in that buffet, there will be some version of rice pudding. Mm-hmm. Right, and so with maybe some gulab jamal, right?
Dough balls and honey water.
But then usually like a really nice little rice pudding, maybe with some pistachio or something. And I just wonder if that's the point of that, is that you get to the end of that meal and then you end up with that bit of dairy that then...
Isn't that what riata is for?
Riata, I think, yeah, perhaps as well, yeah. That makes sense. Well, that's yogurt based, so it would make sense, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But so I wondered that by virtue of the fact that it was obviously at the end of the meal, that it was to address and calm that down. Maybe even to the chai tea, I don't know. True.
Oh yeah, that's good too.
Yeah, it is. Huh. So are we making a program or just making ourselves hungry?
Yeah. This is, so what are we doing today for Valentine's Day? I'm making a big batch of chili.
I'm folding and putting away the laundry.
It's going to be snowing here. Like any minute it's going to start snowing, and it's already been icy. So on our way home from our friends last night, walking home, the sidewalk was so slick we walked in the snow on purpose. Brett walked in the street for a bit. He's like, "Oh, not any better over here." So we tramped through the snow and decided we wouldn't go anywhere today except, to let the chickens out or whatever.
But we've had 2 breakfasts already.
We have, yeah, and we'll have this chili later, so it's good. And I'm really glad we got to have this conversation and reminisce about our food love of food, and our love.
Our love in general.
In general, yeah. Okay, that's it.
You can almost hear the 3 or 4 listeners that listen throwing up.
Stop.
It's been a fun ride. I can't think of a better use of a useless holiday than this, so that's fine.
Yeah. So we don't need a stinking day to tell each other we love each other, so... No, I need a Brett day. I do.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
Sorry. Oops, I phrased that wrong. Sorry. No, I need a day in my life, but I've got all the day. I'm not sure where I'm going with this. I'm just gonna stop now before. I'm sure there's a good phrase out there. Listeners, feel free to send me emails
Sherry,
and let me know. I have not yet. I think I'm gonna go get some. Anyway. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. And we will talk to you soon. Yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
Share something tasty.
Yes.
If you can't share, then buy enough cakes for both of you.
Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon. Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon. Lick that spoon. Bowl. And spoon. Bowl. And spoon.
With Bowl and Spoon is hosted, produced, and mixed by me, Shelly Danko Day. Original theme song was written and performed by Paul Labrise and friends, and it's not all of his friends, just a few. Yes, he has more than that. Thanks to Brett Day for being my sidekick and helping me answer some questions. Special thanks to my support network and all the kind and thoughtful feedback I've received from everybody already. Thanks. You can listen to With Bowl and Spoon on Anchor, Pocket Cast, Spotify, Radio Public, Breaker, and Google Podcasts. You can follow us and send us questions or messages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at With Bowl and Spoon. Thanks for listening. See you soon.